Yo, we're live.
Hello, I'm Matt Bergman, and you are listening to the Punk Rock Libertarians podcast, episode 234. Good one, Kyle.
Thank you.
And tonight, Jared Schneiderman is with me.
Hey.
And we got Philip Dassing over there.
What's up?
Kyle Wagner's here.
Hey.
And newcomer, Jay Payne.
Hey.
How's it going, Jay?
It's going great, Matt. How's it going with you?
Oh, dude, you're so fucking psyched, man. That's just fucking awesome, man.
I'm ready.
You're gonna fluff this podcast, dude. Because sometimes Kyle gets kind of flaccid, so it's good that you're sitting next to him.
Oh, we'll wake him up. Don't worry.
Yeah. So hell
He's
yeah.
seen me alive.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on, dude. I can tell, man. I could tell the first time I talked to you about it, I could tell that you'd probably be a fun person to have on the podcast, dude. So I'd like to tell everybody also we have an after hours program which goes on right after this one, and we usually release that for download on our Patreon somewhere around 11 p.m. Eastern time. So if you want to gain access to that, you can see us on Patreon and donate a minimum of $1 per month to help keep the lights on in Anarchy Basement. That would be much appreciated. Yeah, so let's see. Number one on our topics tonight is, Trump has announced that he's going to send, or has he already sent troops to Saudi Arabia?
I think it's he's planning to.
Yeah.
It's a plan.
It's in the works now. It's a plan. It's a good plan. Not really. It's a
Why
bad plan.
would it be a good plan?
I don't know. I just like saying plan. It's a plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fun.
So
Phil's autistic now.
Yeah.
okay, so what actually happened for people that don't know or don't pay attention? Because I mean, I'm guilty of that a lot of the time.
Well, remember,
so what was the deal?
It was last Saturday.
Some drones were hit in Saudi Arabia.
Allegedly, some Saudi Arabian oil fields were hit by Yemenis, or they're saying Iranian drones. For some reason, Saudi Arabia couldn't protect against Iranian drones. I don't believe that at all, but whatever.
I'm surprised Iran has drones. I would think that they would have dudes on camels.
That's pretty much what the Yemenis people would have, but
no, they have drones. They have sophisticated weaponry. But I thought it was Yemenis. Right?
Well, they claim
responsibility.
Right.
So we're just blaming it on Iran.
Yeah, we blame it on
We're
Iran.
saying now we don't
Iran.
believe you.
Okay.
We'd rather it be Iran, so it's Iran.
We wish it was Iran so that we had.
We need some pretext here. So.
Yeah, the same guys that told us there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq have reported that Iran was responsible for the attacks. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, sounds like they've had such a hard on to go to war for Iran for so long. I don't know, between Iraq and Iran, I don't know who it is, who's behind that, but there's this drive in the U.S. government to go to war with those two countries.
Yeah.
Or to go to war with anybody, really.
No,
they
it's
don't
not.
like
It's not anybody.
They don't like
though.
four-letter words that start with IRA.
It's really not anybody because it's not. It's not France. It's not Britain. There's just certain countries that seem to be on the list. I don't think they want a war with Russia, but there's certainly a lot of Russia's the bad guy kind of talk. China, there's a lot of that, but you never hear about Brazil. There's no one says they want to go to war with Brazil. It's weird how we kind of see. It's
Maybe.
just, the point is, it's not everybody. It's just a few countries. It seems like we're always hearing talk about trying to get into conflict with them, armed conflict.
I mean, don't we have military bases in something like 90 some countries?
Yeah, we do. I think a lot of those are smaller. It may not be a very large troop presence. I'm not exactly even sure why we have troops stationed there, but I know Germany has a huge presence. South Korea has a huge presence. Those are the two big ones that I know of off the top of my head.
In Saudi Arabia?
I'm
US,
sure.
the US
I'm sure. Obviously, we have a presence in
Got it.
Saudi Arabia, Turkey, the Middle East in general.
But you were saying we have a large presence in Germany, right?
Yeah, I heard we had 100,000 troops in Germany.
Did you ever seen the movie Stripes?
I didn't.
That was filmed in Germany.
Oh,
Bill
yeah?
Murray.
Wow.
It's a very good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I thought Trump was saying when he was a candidate Trump was we should bring some of these troops home. Why are we being the army for all these other countries that aren't us? You know?
He is due his credit. I believe he's got some, I want to use the word trigger discipline. we really haven't really gone full scale like we had.
Knocking
in the past
on wood. Knock
12
on wood.
years, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I was totally surprised when he didn't go to war with who was it? Iran right away when they shot down that drone.
Yeah, he was reserved, and you think about it, you know.
Yeah, he's more restraint than I can imagine any president in my lifetime using in such situation.
No, I thought
I feel like any other president went to war right away.
He launched an attack and then stopped it, didn't it? Didn't we actually start sending? I don't know,
but
some aircraft carriers.
If that's
or
the
something?
case, it never actually happened.
Didn't he also resist attacking? I mean, I like how we're just giving credit to people for resisting attacking somebody.
That's where we
he
are.
resisted the urge to.
He resisted
start
the
a
urge
war.
to start a war with Syria after they allegedly gassed their own people again, right?
But he did bomb a few buildings, whatever.
Well, he raised an airport that wasn't in use. Or something
Who
like
dropped
that.
the MOAB? Remember the MOAB?
That was him.
That
That
was
was his
him.
first month in office or something, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Well, there you go.
But yeah, so he had this whole Twitter thing about he was going to wait for the further, what Saudi Arabia says and what they determine before he makes any action. It was pretty much that's when Tulsi Gabbard called him, Saudi Arabia's bitch.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that. What was that exact quote? Remember what
Basically,
it was?
that was it.
That was basically it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so apparently he also announced, I guess Saudi Arabia got back to him and said that it was Iran's fault. And so now he wants to send more troops to Saudi Arabia, which from what I remember was why Osama bin Laden, that was one of his main reasons why he attacked, why he wanted to attack the United States and for 9/11 was because they had troops, American troops in Saudi, on the Arabian Peninsula. And so that's why one of the generals was like, well, hey, we'll just invade Iraq and we'll move them to Iraq and get them out of Saudi Arabia. That'll solve it. And so essentially it's just following the same footsteps. It's putting unnecessary soldiers, lives in danger, civilians' lives in danger. It's like one of those things. I mean, it's like you look at it and it's one of those things that you're afraid it's going to be like World War I again, where it's one little thing happens and then all the dominoes fall. And every single time the United States gets involved somewhere, there's always that potential because the empire is vast. And so if anything happens to one bit of the empire, that's looked upon being attacked on the United States.
Well, there's another way to look at it also. So right now, the United States is, I believe I'm not sure if we're leading the world in exports for oil. So there is a reason not to actually put troops over in Saudi Arabia. If we're pushing out oil, we can actually stabilize the world market. And that's one of the reasons I think that Trump is, using trigger discipline and not going full out to try to stabilize the markets, because we are already doing that right now with our oil exports, which is a good thing. Right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I went to the Essex Day Festival for the LP. We're collecting signatures for ballot access yesterday.
Yeah, I'm bummed I couldn't make that.
I got into a foreign policy argument or conversation with somebody who walked up to the table. And, it's just interesting. It wasn't an argument. I was mostly just listening to him. But it's just interesting how different people's perspectives on the world situation are. Like libertarians, we have a certain angle, right? And that's that terrorism tends to be revenge for things that we did overseas, and foreign intervention makes us less safe because it inspires terrorism. So that's like a basic principle a basic idea that most libertarians hold. And this guy's sitting here telling me, well, we weren't even involved in the Middle East before 9/11. It was totally out of the blue. And, this is why we need the CIA needs more funding so it can know what all America's enemies are doing all around the world.
This sounded like Jared on the first podcast.
I mean, I was like, okay,
I'm just joking.
Move along.
Jared was never like
move
that.
along, sir. No, I was like, I didn't say that. I was just like, I gotta go. Gotta go feed my cat. So, yeah.
This was a guy that just approached the
stand?
stand?
It was just some random older guy. I tried to get him to sign our ballot access petition, and
he wouldn't do it.
He took the opportunity to give me a 5-minute dissertation about what he thought. And I was just like, okay, this you're definitely not libertarian. That's what I was thinking in my head. I was just like, okay, nice to meet you.
I mean, isn't it? You don't think you could have convinced him to do it if you just told him, hey, this is just so we can appear on the ballot? This is not saying you support
Well,
it.
you just said,
It was too late, man. He was already on his tirade. I was like,
you should have been like, I just listened to.
I would have just cut him off, dude.
Why
Why are you going to sit there and listen to him? Even if you're going to listen to him for 5 minutes, you at least got to break that spiel down to him.
Like, sir, I really appreciate the lesson here. now that we've been educated, can you please just sign this real quick for me? You know. Yeah, I should have made a last ditch effort, but by that time, I really did have to go. It was like the last guy before I left.
You had to go home and tend to that pussy, huh?
Yeah. I don't even know what to say.
So, so you briefly touched on Tulsi Gabbard's tweet where she called Trump Saudi Arabia's bitch. It just kind of bothers me that when people speak in gendered terms like that.
Me too, man. Yeah.
That's dog gender though.
Oh. I heard.
Who's being politically correct?
I heard in the University of Maryland, like they have their signatures all say the preferred pronoun in the email signature. Like you send an email and it's like, it's got your name and your title, and then it's like preferred gender pronoun.
What,
he,
as
him.
like as like a professor?
It's all the employees that work there have. This is what I was told.
What?
That they
I need a copy of this.
They all have the preferred pronouns in their email signatures.
Well, you said University of
Kyle.
Maryland?
Yeah. I could. You don't know if it's a hospital.
My girlfriend goes there, and she didn't say anything, but maybe she didn't tell me.
It might have been the hospital. I'm not sure. Yeah. It was like in passing. I heard that they were doing that.
Kyle, does your email say shim?
Yes. Yes, it says shim. Covers all the bases. I don't want anybody to be confused.
Mine says Apache helicopter.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, dude.
And then I was talking with my coworkers the other day about otherkin. The people that like want to be animals or something. They're like, I'm identify as like no, they're not furries. They're like, instead of having like a different gender, they identify as like a different species. They're like,
well, it's a smart move. I mean, it's like Elizabeth Warren upped the game by just saying she was Native American. She got all them kickbacks from the college.
Yeah, I mean, could you vote against a zebra? They're an endangered.
I know, it's an endangered species, dude. Their voices must be heard. Their voices must be heard.
Species is a social construct.
That's a title for the podcast.
All right, what are we talking about here? Foreign policy. That's what we were talking about.
It
went on a little sidetrack there. So, hopefully we don't go to war with Iran.
Yeah, it sucks, man. I just, it's like, God, it's like we can't go a few weeks without Donald Trump. If we get rid of John Bolton and here, there's this other dude takes a spot, and it's like the bombs don't stop, the rhetoric doesn't stop, troops movements don't stop. I mean, who knows? He might not do anything. He's known for putting things in action, but then never following through.
I made that a topic on the board, the replacement, but we should just cover it now since we're already talking about it.
I mean,
so Trump hired Robert OBrien.
Sure, Kyle, just rearrange the entire fucking outline.
Dude, it's anarchy basement. He can do what he wants.
I thought that was
Trump's got Robert O'Brien to replace John Bolton, and apparently Robert O'Brien is also a neocon, so not much difference on that.
What's his record?
I don't know. I just read on a libertarian website that he was a neoconservative.
Have you guys ever really heard of him before?
No.
Me neither.
I'm not really. Yeah.
All right.
I can't make an opinion. So.
I'm sure he sucks too. I'm just gonna make a bet and just fall on that side. Of course, he sucks.
Of course.
I mean, think about it. When did he? So he officially replaced him today, right? Is that what we read before?
I don't know. It was this week. At least.
Well, I mean, the same thing still happens. I mean, already have we decided to de-escalate anywhere else in the world? No, we've only decided to escalate situations in the world. It's not going to stop, no matter who's in there, man.
Yeah, Walter Block. He missed on this one. He was like the big Libertarians for Trump guy, right?
I think so.
Yeah. And his argument was just that he thought he would be better on foreign policy.
Was it better, or what did he take the position that we know Hillary is going to be a hawk, Trump is a question mark, so let's go with the question mark? Was that sort of like his position?
I think so, yeah.
All right.
And he had some rhetoric.
He did.
Like you said,
I remember
when he was in the debate that sounded like he might be anti-war.
Yeah.
And then all this talk of draining the swamp.
It's a big machine, the military industrial complex, for lack of a better term. But Trump's got that power. He honestly does have the power to say, we're changing direction here. We're bringing our troops home. We're no longer going to interfere in other countries like we have been doing. We're pulling out of Afghanistan. We're pulling out of Iraq. I mean, that's how much power the president has at this point. So, the fact that we haven't done that, to me, is that's on Trump.
Yeah.
He's calling the shots.
Yeah, he's definitely to blame. But you just wonder, with him, I don't think he had I don't think he has any sort of ideology aside from be president and get reelected again.
Yeah, he's a little bit like a...
So,
yeah.
He's got a lot of ego.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
He's a
It's all
salesman.
ego.
Right.
That's an understatement.
So I don't expect him to, put up, if he's getting a lot of pressure and he feels like, well, these people could potentially be an ally in the future. I don't want to piss them off. I could see him just not standing on any sort of principle. Whereas if that were, you or me, and, we wanted to pull out the troops and we had a bunch of people come up to us that were very important and powerful and say, this isn't a good idea, we'd be like, fuck you.
Yeah, but are these people saying, we'll kill your family if you don't go along with us, or we'll release every text message where you've said the N-word, or we have video...
No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know for sure.
I was going to say...
Do you have the docs?
No, I'm just saying.
I would say probably not, but...
I mean, is it in the realm of possibility? I mean, look what J. Edgar Hoover did in the FBI. He blackmailed the shit out of everyone. Yeah. And that whole entire bureau was formed just to get dirt on people.
I mean, it's possible Trump's been blackmailed. I mean, I'm sure he has a lot of skeletons.
I'm just saying it's in the realm of possibility, and that's the problem when you have such a government at this size and you have a cabal that's unelected that's just in there, and they choose who their successors are.
You're talking about the swamp that he wants to drain.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think they have a heavy influence on what he does because he's only one guy. You see, a lot of people he has on his side aren't really on his side. That's the thing. It makes me question. Like, why would you have someone who, was one of the guys who was responsible for the war in Iraq when you said it was like the biggest blunder ever? Why would you have him in your administration?
Yeah. I still don't think he's a puppet. I think he's his own man. I just think he's... I don't know. I think inconsistent, like all politicians have been.
Of course.
I remember Mitt Romney being like, you'd find videos of Mitt Romney at two different events saying the exact opposite thing depending on who he was talking to, and you're like, this guy just panders. He's
right.
Whatever I need to say in this moment to win this person over, that's what I'm going to say.
Right.
And you had no idea where Mitt Romney stood.
Right, and that's where I think Trump is. I think he, maybe he does want to. He probably just doesn't want to have to deal with leading an army into battle. I mean, figuratively leading an army into battle. But when you have people telling you oh, this is what you need to do, for whatever reason, whether it's threatening his family or just
advising him.
Yeah, or just advising him, and he's like, all right, I guess I'll listen to this person because I don't really care.
Yeah. To give Trump his due respect, though, he does defer to Congress a lot. Mm-hmm. A lot more than past presidents who would go ahead and take an executive action. Congress needs to write a law or pass a resolution of some sort. Mm-hmm. So I'll give him his props.
Yeah, sure. That's fair.
I don't really see it that way. I think he does it as much as Obama does. I think he might not threaten. Obama's like, I got a pen. I'll do what the fuck I want. Trump's just like what he did. He's like, yeah, what he said. Kind of in his whole moving troops to Saudi Arabia. I mean, shouldn't that need a declaration of war or something to move soldiers? And
they're not
fighting.
So not yet.
Not yet, but they could be.
It could be, but they're not. So
Gulf of Tonkin,
you know what I mean?
Declaration
of war to transfer people.
Yeah, once they actually start doing stuff, you should need an authorization of force at a minimum. I think what they've done in the past is try to just put that on the the same old authorization of war that they had for
you can
Iraq,
argue that
Afghanistan.
they're putting them in harm's way.
Yeah.
That's definitely an argument.
I'm saying they go back to that original thing, and they're like, "Oh, this is all under that."
It's the same thing. It's the USS Maine. It's the Gulf of Tonkin. It's just they're moving troops to a spot where they could be attacked, and if they get attacked, oops, there's our reason. Now we're gonna blow up your country, and I feel like that's by design, to be honest.
Yeah, it could be.
So I don't know. It's it's bullshit, but it's par for the course,
So what's going on with this the meme war?
Okay, so we got some drama.
Oh,
Some really fucking bullshit drama.
This is the page or the group
The page.
Okay.
So to peel back the fourth wall a little bit, I usually use a lot of the posts on Facebook. I share a bunch of funny ass memes that I find. I just whatever. I'm friends with 500 people.
We should also mention that I share the best memes.
That's debatable.
Are you doing
I don't know
this?
that it is,
It's
dude.
debatable.
Are you doing this as
Your
the page?
your memes are always problematic, though.
Phil, are you doing this as the PRL page?
Yeah, I'm sharing on the page. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking the image and sharing it. And what I'm not hitting the share button, because when you do that, I've been on this page for what? I did Daily Liberator. I was the admin on that for a while before everything got shut down last October, and then I was made admin of this page shortly after October when we had to form the new one. And so I've been doing it, and I've noticed when you write something, let's say you post a picture, you write something like a caption underneath the picture, that doesn't get as much reach as if you were just to share the picture.
Oh.
If you were to share someone's status, that cuts the share the reach in half. So I don't do it. I do whatever I can to reach the max amount of people to bring people to the site.
So you copy the picture from somebody else and then paste it under your page.
I save the image and I re-upload it. And I mean, most of the time they're just random people make the memes, and I make my own memes sometimes.
I mean, it's what most pages do. Though.
It's what everybody does. Everybody, except for there's a certain group of, I would say, losers.
I think what we should probably start doing is we'll just find the memes and we'll give them to Schneiderman over here, and he can just put watermarks on them, dude. So we'll just
on other people's.
Yeah, you need a call signal on.
We can just put our own brand on other people's memes.
No, that would make this even worse, right?
And when they have a watermark, you can just kind of crop it out.
Well, some guy did that to the one I posted. I made a meme, but so anyway, so going back, what happened a few weeks ago? It was about a week or two ago. I realized I saw our page mentions. Someone had mentioned us a week before. Oh, yeah. It was AnCap Space Force had made a meme about us stealing memes or whatever. Oh. So they're stealing meme shit, and that's what they're saying. Sometimes they'll directly say we're stealing memes, and other times they're just like, "Well, you're a copier," and so
meme thief. That's what I would.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can't steal something that you possess the original. So.
Is anybody getting paid on these memes?
Not that I know.
Not us.
So
no.
So but okay. So
it's not like I'm making a meme coffee table book out of these memes.
Yeah.
Right. That yeah.
Selling it in
Pete Quinones. Pete Quinones, formerly Mance Raider, he wrote a book about the memes and stuff, and no one gives him shit when he takes a meme and shares it and doesn't give credit for it. He does it all the time on Instagram, and it's cool.
Yeah, I don't even think he has ever made his own, has he?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe. But who cares?
Yeah,
You're sharing the message. Who cares? At the end of the day, there's a guy who likes his page, and every time I post a meme, whether I made it or not, he'll immediately do the same thing. He'll take, he won't share it from our podcast, but he'll share it from his own his Facebook page, literally 10 minutes after I post the meme. Okay. It happens all the time. So what? Who cares? It doesn't matter. I'm just trying to reach the max amount of people to bring people in. We're trying to grow this page. In less than a year, we're almost at 7,000 likes.
Right. And
I mean, we're a grower, not a shower.
And it's sheerly because that you've noticed that when you just share the picture, it gets better reach, right? If it wasn't for that, then you probably would just share it right off of their page.
And so I talked to us a few months ago. The Mesertarians, the contacted me and was like, I know she shared one of my memes. And I'm like, I know I didn't. I just found some random friend of mine I'm on Facebook with. He had the image and I just shared it. It was funny. He's like, well, that's actually one of my memes. You mind giving me credit for it? We're trying to get reach on our page too. Would you mind? I was like, it's a little tacky, but okay, cool. So I went back, edited it, and just tagged in Mesertarians in it. And I told him to say, hey, look, get a good watermark so people know it's your brand.
I do HT, H/T.
Yeah, hat tip, whatever.
Hat tip to whoever made the meme.
That cuts the reach. That cuts the reach when you do that.
Put it in the comments, and then that'll boost the reach.
How do you know that?
Because I just noticed the trends. When I send a certain image, it'll go as far as I can. But if I do anything type of like typing or any like just commenting, if I share a news article, that
no
like, that
commenting increases the reach. You know, if you get more
in
likes or comments,
in the comments. But I mean,
Happy
like, I'm sorry.
faces and-
You're talking about captions.
Caption. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I just go ahead and share it. And so I said, I changed it and I said, I put, HT Mesertarians to it. And it's fine. It's no big deal. It was a little tacky, but whatever. I told him, I said, get a good watermark. I mean, if it means a lot to you, that way someone shares the image, they're going to have to blur it or take it out themselves before they randomly share it.
I've never heard of Mesertarians.
Yeah, Mesertarians group, yeah. So, I mean, they're pretty cool. So, whatever. I did it. No big deal. But apparently, AnCap Space Force decided to start shit, and it spread through these. There's a certain group of, they're pretty much meme lords, who all they do is they're a bunch of assholes with way too much time, and they fucking decide to come after us for stealing memes, and their fans are coming after us for stealing memes, and it's really fucking stupid. So the black and gold memes, I don't know, you guys know them. They decided to come at us, and
why don't we throw memes on their page?
Well, so it's just real annoying. I'm like, dude, I'm just sharing stuff to bring reach. And he's like, so this dude went off on me, kept calling me Carlos Mencia. He must have said the word Carlos Mencia like 15 times when he's commenting. I'm like, you need to go see someone about your obsession with Carlos Mencia. And it's just annoying. So, and it was all pretty much, everyone was white knighting for this guy. His name's Tertium Quid, and he has really fucking funny memes. He watermarked him. So he shared one I think it was the night before last, or he made one about the Clash music video about Donald Trump, just talking about like going to war or whatever. And so I shared it. I'm like, it's pretty relevant. A lot of people, punk rock libertarians, would like the Clash, so they'd get the reference and it'd be funny. So I shared it. Within minutes, a bunch of his fans were tagging him in all the posts. They're like, didn't he just make this? I think it's so hard to pronounce. Tertium Quid. They're like, didn't he just make this? And they were tagging him in it. And I'm like, oh, nice low-key snitch. Like, I don't care. Like, did he? I didn't know. I could barely see. He did have a watermark on it, but I didn't even see it. It was like really like in there. And so he commented. So fortunately, I actually reached out to him after this whole thing went down with all of his asshole, like butt buddies were coming after us. And I was like, look, dude, there's no ill intention. I'm not trying to.
Are you sure they're not just trolling you?
No, they're hard because they're like,
AnCap Space Force is not just trolling you, because it kind of sounds like that's trolling.
Did you read any of the comments?
I mean, why would they make their own meme about us stealing memes? And like
to troll you.
These guys have an obsession with meme stealing. Like half of their memes on their page are about people stealing their memes.
Yeah,
it's like super meta.
Wow,
yeah, it's really weird. I was just like, how can you?
If this was in Capistan, they could hire somebody to do something about
it. All right, Kyle.
Right. And then you could hire a defense force.
Yeah.
And then the meme protection agency would fight the meme would fight you guys as defense agency.
The PRL defense force.
The PRL, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it would be a war.
Yeah.
That's
would you call it a faction war?
I would. Yes. It would be a faction war.
Faction meme wars.
Yeah. There'd be a lot of collateral damage.
I mean, I will give them sort of the benefit. Well, so there's something interesting about it, and it sort of raises the question of how would you. So, like, if you did get rid of intellectual property, but you still sort of wanted to protect, your memes or whatever, by sort of doing what they're doing and going through and trying to shame you. That's one way to do it without force, right? It's one way to do it without getting the government involved.
They're not suing you in court. Right. And as far as I know, memes do not fall under intellectual property at this point.
Unless you're in, like, I think in the UK they have some weird meme laws out there.
Yeah, the UK. Article 15 or something. What is it?
In the UK?
Yeah, they have some sort of, like, copyright laws that apply to, like, memes.
I mean,
and using...
It's a creative work sometimes. I have seen memes that probably took someone many hours. I don't know about days, but hours to produce.
Yeah.
And then other ones are just a generic picture with some words slapped on top.
I'm surprised people don't get sued by these stock photo companies.
Right, and that's another thing. They use a lot of stock photos in their memes. So, okay, so this is the group of people. Like, okay, so Memes for Liberty Friends, decided to come out of the woodwork against us. And then we got what? Shit. Like there was a bunch of groups, and I'm like, holy crap, Meme Free or Die.
But I feel like these are all run by the same person. I feel like it's if we went on, we were like, we just use every page that Matt's ever created.
It's just like one really
railed on people. Like,
yeah.
who gets more votes? Who gets more likes? A pile of shit or Congress? Like,
no, see,
why is this commenting on my page?
I don't think so. Like Black and Gold Standard memes came at us, which kind of sucks because they're like a whole group of.
Are they from
pages.
Or Pittsburgh?
No, it's just it's just.
AnCap,
yeah,
it's really black and yellow. I don't know why it would be
yeah,
black and gold. But.
Well, and then there's Gold Standard, Black and Gold Standard. Get it, Gold Standard.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay, all right. And then so there's also it's a part of the whole black and yellow. There's like a whole like set of pages where people independently like it's almost like their own franchise off the meme. This is how in depth we're going in this because Liberty Memes has the same thing. And this one girl who I know, she switched sides. She ran into David Dadman of Liberty Memes. She got into it with him. She had a meme page called like 007 Memes or whatever. And so then she jumped ship. Now she is like GoldenEye yellow or something. GoldenEye black and gold. There he goes. Black and GoldenEye memes. And she's cool. Like, but apparently one of her buddies is also coming at us.
So Liberty Memes is feuding with these guys too?
Yeah, there's a big thing that happened back. I didn't know anything was. That's what I'm saying. It's very in depth the way this goes to. So. This is what I'm saying. Like these people
all need lives,
right?
Yeah.
So,
and Phil, you were letting yourself get sucked into the meme wars.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just
like
because,
I'm sitting here learning about all this for the first time, and still, like tomorrow, I'm not gonna be involved in it because I just don't. I don't really care.
I came into Phil's defense.
Kylo's fear. Thank you for coming to my defense.
I came into his defense only because I was drunk.
Okay, it was pretty aggressive. You said, imagine being such a neck-bearded loser that you have enough free time to run 10 different meme accounts and harass one page for reposting your mediocre content. And the League.
Did they respond to it?
No. The League of Extraordinary Gentle Meme Lords also responded to it. Like, this is a whole bunch of group of people that just decided these meme pages that all they do is create memes. And so a lot of them now are exclusively, like, I didn't know this, but on their, if you go to their actual page, it'll say everything shared from us is original content. But how are you supposed to know that when I have like random people that I've never met before that are friends with me on Facebook who are libertarians? They share these memes. So
someone else has already
taken
taken it, and then you're taking it from that person, and that person's taking it from the next person. What you gonna do?
If you're stealing from me, you're stealing twice, essentially.
Yeah.
And you know, that's what I was trying to get at. I'm like, we all do this. Everyone does it. And so, okay, so this guy,
just watermark your shit.
Well, this brings me to the next point. This is where I reached out to this guy, Tertium Quid. I saw a post. Tim, one of our good fans, Tim shared a picture of one of his memes, but the person he shared it from was a random person. They had blurred out the watermark of his, and so I screenshot it and I sent it to him. I said, "Hey, man, we've never done shit like this. Now that's kind of messed up to blur out someone's watermark, you know?
Yeah,
it's a little messed up." So I reached out to him and look, because he didn't come at me hard, but all of his fans did, and so that's why I'm like, why is everyone white knighting for this dude? Like, just if he's not pissed about it, fuck off. But these guys have no fucking time in their hand. I mean, I'm not saying I do either, really. I mean, I'm busy running around with the kids and stuff like that. But when I have downtime at night, my wife's studying and I'm just sitting there watching baseball and, you know, everyone's asleep in the house and I'm just responding to a bunch of these assholes. So I guess maybe I shouldn't throw stones in a glass house, but...
Yeah. You got to extricate yourself from this situation.
I did. I decided to make a meme about it, and it's kind of... awful audio to when someone describes a meme too. It's kind of bad audio, so I won't go into
depends on how funny it is, but yeah.
But it was just the Office quote, and it was funny, and they all got all butthurt, and then half the people thought I was being serious because I was pretending to be like some one of these idiots who are like, oh, this is my original content. If you share it without tagging me, you're Carlos Mencia. And so people thought I was being serious. And then the other half of people were like, oh, you're not funny. You're no talent. No wonder you don't make your own content. It's terrible.
I thought yours was pretty funny, dude.
Thank you.
I
did so myself.
Thought it was funny because you took it from somebody else.
Right. Right. So I don't know. But they all decided to jump on our page, and then they started attacking the podcast too. There's like, I've tried to listen to it, but it's terrible.
Yeah.
I'm like, sure you did, bud. It's like, now you're just trying to be hurtful.
Keep
fine. You're
us
allowed to not like the
updated.
podcast.
Keep us updated on
The great meme war.
the 2019 meme war.
We have at least 20 people that do like the podcast.
Yeah.
Nice.
That are willing to contribute money. So
Right.
Yeah.
that's a good sign.
And that's what he said. He was like, well, we don't have a. He said, I guess someone was saying, I don't forget who it was, but they were like, yeah, he doesn't have a PayPal, not Patreon. And they're like, are you trying to attack the fact that we have a Patreon? Like,
we're not getting Patreon.
he said, we don't have fanboys. I'm like, you sure do. Look at you guys commenting on our shit. So it's, dude, they
got white
fucking
knight.
suck.
You don't have people that like you.
They fucking suck. Like, just get the fuck over it. Everyone steals me. And okay, so here's another correlation I would say. When you have a political cartoon, right? People share a political cartoon, like, the ones that they have the signature of the guy at the bottom. Mm-hmm. You all know who made that because the signature at the bottom. Mm-hmm. But does that guy go
you can't
contact
barely
anyone?
read those signatures usually.
But you in general know who the
he
artist is.
appreciates his name getting out and getting spread. That's how you
Right.
get famous. That's how you become a name. you know?
Right.
So,
So,
all right.
fuck them.
That's why I share music.
Ready for the
Napster.
next topic?
Sure, let's do it.
Oh, that was involved.
Yeah. Climate
Speaking
change.
of losers,
There was a bunch of high school students walked out of their classrooms this week demanding legislation to address climate change.
Did they get any?
I don't think so, but they got a day off of school in the nice weather, so
That's pretty
there's
cool.
something to be said
but
for
I heard
that.
a lot of the schools were like punishing the kids, and they're like, yeah, we're giving them failing grades if they walked out on a test.
Wow.
I thought the schools were encouraging it.
Some were, but others were like, no, don't do that. Like,
That's an unexcused absence.
Right,
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
that's a black mark and a
As a
suspension.
taxpayer, I demand my money back.
Not a suspension. You get detention for that probably.
but it's all being led up by this 14-year-old girl who, is she on the spectrum at all? She looks like it. I don't mean to be. She does. I mean, she does. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know. But anyway.
She's 14 and idealistic,
And that's why I'm
she
not
wants
mad
to
at her.
save the planet.
But who's pushing
That's-
her really? Like,
Probably no one. She's
It's
just
such
a
confirmation bias on the left because you see the Washington Post comments.
Who
like,
gave her the platform to speak in front of Congress?
right?
What?
How did she get that? And she's wearing
Wow.
like
About
these.
foreign influence.
Yeah, right. So she is
Like,
like,
what
wearing-
is her story? Where did she come from?
I don't know. She's like, her name's Greta Thunberg or whatever. Thunberg. I don't know.
Nice. All right.
And I don't know.
It's a pretty badass name.
Ugh.
So you're just shitting all over Greta.
Well, I feel bad because she's clearly being used. I mean, when you're imagine what you guys thought was passionate when you were 14.
When I was a kid,
Power
they
Rangers.
were telling us about the rainforests were all going to get burned down, and we had that movie Fern
Yeah.
Gully. That
Fern
came
Gully,
out,
that's
and
right.
shows all the bulldozers are knocking all the rainforest down and killing all the cute animal critters, and we needed to save the rainforest. That's what I
acid
got.
rain, right?
There was
Ozone hole.
Yeah.
You know?
that
Where-
magically
where-
fixed itself.
Yeah, the ozone
Right.
hole was a big thing. They were like, don't use those aerosol spray cans. So everybody stopped using hairspray and spray paint and all that stuff. I don't know whatever happened to that. The CFCs were putting a hole in the ozone. Remember that?
It fixed itself.
It did.
How did it do that? Was it
Because
ever
we
there to
stopped
begin
using
with?
aerosol cans, apparently.
And styrofoam.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Now it's plastic straws. Can you imagine that shit? How like none of these? Okay, so I was on vacation last week, and I was up in New Jersey in Stone Harbor, and the whole entire city had an ordinance saying that you're not allowed to give out unnecessary plastic. So there's no plastic bags, no plastic lids. They try not to give you plastic lids unless you ask for it.
Yeah.
And no plastic straws. And it's like
Paper straws suck.
they do. Well, after a while they don't.
Yeah, exactly.
So
They're fucking terrible.
yeah, they're awful and it's annoying, but whatever.
Well, now Starbucks has sippy cups.
Well, yeah, but I actually kind of dig those, but they have more plastic in them.
They
than
suck if you have like anything that's ice though, because the ice gets stuck in the hole.
Yeah, that's what she said. And then,
Giggity.
so they actually have more plastic in them than a straw does. I don't know if you guys knew that the whole combo. But anyway, so with that, they had all of this was based off of that one video that came out like 2 years ago of that turtle whose guys were like digging in its nose and they pulled out a straw.
Wow.
Might add, it was all based upon that one fucking
You probably put
video.
that straw in there too.
Shit, man. Conspiracy.
So one turtle inhaled a loose straw.
Yeah, and like
And
they
they were
it was
like,
horrible. Like,
the straws are now killing the
yeah,
turtles.
yeah. So that's why they're banning straws. And they're
Wow.
like, well, there's this huge plastic island, might add, in the Pacific Ocean. And all the 99% of the world's pollution comes from 5 rivers, all based off like from Africa and in Asia.
I saw a Vice episode about the garbage pile that's floating in the ocean, and I was envisioning more of like a visible thing, like a pile of cans. It's all microplastic, so all you see is water. But then they go in with like a cup or like a filter, and they pull up. It's just all this like little particle stuff. It's gross. I mean, it is gross, but it's broken up plastic. It's not
a pile of trash.
Right, it's not a pile of trash. Exactly. Thank you.
What is that image of piles of trash in the water that you always see, though?
I have no idea.
They come from like the Ganges,
New York Harbor.
Probably, Baltimore's Inner Harbor.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So
Because whenever they have that story, they show this pile of trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're
like,
talking about.
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
and
I
then you
know.
read it into it. It's like, no,
right.
No, we have
that's not
trash
real.
eaters in Baltimore's Harbor.
Yeah.
They're these.
Trash wheel.
Yeah, there's 3 of them. They're these giant trash wheels, and they pull in the water and like pull the trash out, and they have like faces painted on them and like a giant mouth. So it looks like
There's actually a trash wheel beer made by Peabody Heights.
nice.
Really? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's really good. It's a sour.
Try to bring that next time, Phil.
I'll try it.
Phil doesn't drink anything
I'll try one. I'll try a trash wheel
Yeah, dude.
beer.
I'm drinking a beer right now. It's got 8.7. It's The Truth by.
Phil doesn't play.
Uh-oh.
It's called The Truth by. Who makes it? Flying Dog. Yeah.
Flying
So,
Dog, if
you know,
wanna
I can
sponsor
only
the
have a beer.
podcast.
It calls The Truth. So going back to this topic, I think a lot of what would have been better is if people just decided we're leaving school with no permission. We're just going to do it. And we're all going to get up and we're all going down to our local park, river, wherever, and we're just going to spend the next 4 or 5 hours, instead of protesting, cleaning up. Just fucking cleaning up.
That would have been a better use of their time.
Right.
What I don't get is like, so we already have all this legislation. We already have emissions legislation, pollution legislation. You know, you're not allowed to just dump stuff in rivers. You're not allowed to just pump smog in the air. What do these kids want now? Like, what?
More taxes.
A day off school.
Right. Yeah.
No, I'm sure they want something, but it's like,
Well, they don't have anything. No,
save the planet. And you're
they
like,
want
we've
to- yeah.
already got legislation regulating the environmental emissions. Like, what more do you want?
It's just leftist bullshit. They want tax the rich. That's what it all goes back to. That's what everything it boils down to is tax the rich.
For what? Like,
And then when
how
it
is
says
that
tax the
going to
rich-
help the climate?
I'm with you, man.
So like,
Well,
this
no, their
South
whole
Park
thing is
where
like
they're
oil. Their whole thing is like oil companies, like the oil
Oil.
companies.
Wind turbines.
that do nothing.
Electric cars with the battery, the lithium-ion battery, where
Yeah.
they've got to strip mine and rip down mountains
Right.
to get the lithium, and then they take the spent battery and they throw it in a landfill where it's going to poison the water
Well,
supply.
you're
Right.
So
you're
come
plugging
on.
your electric car into an outlet that gets its power from
Coal. Right. The evil coal.
So yes, you know, your emissions coming out of your car a little better, I guess, but
It's a fucking scheme, man. That's
the
all
energy
this
is still coming from coal.
I mean, think about it. They've had solar for how many years now? How many years have you had solar? And it can barely keep it. The electric. I think that's the main problem with it is the storage of the power. You just can't have these type of batteries that can store the power. And I mean, I know Doug, if you're listening, you know he has his own thing. He has his own little wind turbine. He has his own solar.
I would love.
he's
to-
trying.
Yeah,
But yeah, he's doing
I
his
would
thing,
love
but,
to
like,
see Doug's
his
house.
Oh yeah, I know,
Yeah.
right? He showed me pictures of, like his batteries in his like shed outside. They're like as big as this table. I'm like, holy shit!
It's like Thomas Massey.
That's
Yeah,
kind of what it reminds
exactly.
me of. Yeah, that's what it reminds
He's
me
like
of.
a smaller version of Thomas Massey. Like Massey, I'm sure. In case the listeners don't know, I think his house is like a Tesla car. Like he has a battery or batteries that power his whole house, right? And everything is like off grid or able to go off grid.
But that's good for one
Very
house.
high tech.
That's good for one house, but we don't have the technology. We're so far away from technology that would power the whole based off of wind and solar. That would, I mean, think about it. The whole I'm trying to think like how many megawatts.
Yeah.
You know, how many could it have to produce and be stored? It can't do it. It just can't do it.
We're getting better. We're getting more efficient.
So Cory Booker actually said, you know, he was the only Democrat who came out and said we should have. I think Yang said the same thing about we should have nuclear energy.
Oh.
And he said, and everyone else was like, no, it's evil. It can't be included in our Green New Deal. But it's
the most
future.
efficient energy
Yeah,
there is.
it's the cleanest. And
What, nuclear? Is that what
Yeah.
you said? Yeah.
Yeah.
They never talk about nuclear because it's scary.
Yeah, as long as
Right.
well, as
it's
long as
just-
there's no disaster,
It's
clean,
a wealth
right? That's the
distribution
risk.
scheme. That's all it is. Like, that's all they want. It's just another thing to tax people. That's all it is.
Make you feel bad about yourself.
Right. That's why I don't buy it. And I think these kids, especially Greta, like she's being used. I mean, to a certain extent, honestly, she may feel that way, but there's a lot of things I felt when I was 14 that I don't really hold true at all right now. And I think when they rally behind this girl and they're like, oh my God, like I said, back to the Washington Post comments, they're all praising this girl, these old women and men. They're like, this girl's a hero and praise her. I'm like, what would you say if she was saying, like pushing, if she was going for Congress and testifying saying we need to have more natural gas, more nuclear energy, more clean coal? Imagine if she said those words. Would you think that these same people would be calling her brave? They'd be like, ew, she's being paid and she
wouldn't have been invited.
Exactly. And I feel like there's just so much confirmation bias really with this situation. I feel like with all things really, but in particular this one case of a 14-year-old girl, she's just being exploited and she's writing these speeches and she's wearing she has a shirt that said anti-fascist on it, and I'm
really?
like, yeah, and I'm like, come on, like you fucking suck. You're advocating for state-owned solar panels and shit like that, which is pretty much the definition of fascism. Like, fuck off. Like, I feel like she's being used, and
she probably believes it. They have no life experience.
Right.
I mean, you're talking generations, and you've got to observe things. Climate change. All right, I'm 45 years old, and you know what? You get to see things. You might be wrong, and then you get older, and you see, damn, climate's pretty much the same as it was 20 years ago. It hasn't changed. It's life experience.
But see, then they'll say you're mistaking weather for climate. But then as soon as there's a hurricane, they're like, see, this is climate change.
Yeah, every hurricane is climate change. I've noticed that.
Right. And then and I say that to them. I said, aren't you mistaking climate for weather? Like, no, these are happening more and blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, okay, when we sit there and tell you, yeah, it didn't reach, like last year it didn't get over 100, like, at all in the mid-Atlantic region. And we're like, yeah, sure, about this global warming thing. And they're like, you're mistaking weather for climate and blah, blah, blah. And when you throw it back in their face, they can't handle it. It's a wealth distribution scheme. That's all it is.
It sounds like you're like misgendering the climate.
Why did it sound like you're about to like hack up your lungs?
Are you over there dying? Hold on, before we move on to one of these boring topics, I want to interject with with something cool, or actually not that cool, but interesting. So did you guys see Yang's tweet about pornography?
I heard about it. Go on.
So basically, I should pull it up, but basically he says, he's saying, pornography can be bad, and that we need to empower families to be able to prevent their kids from looking at pornography.
Damn, Owen Benjamin's like fist pumping right now.
Yeah,
he's gone crazy.
This is something Yang said.
Yeah, let me see.
Yang's anti-porn.
Yeah. Essentially.
I think that it would be nice. I mean, I don't have kids, but if I did, it'd be nice to put some parental restrictions on their internet content. I wouldn't want, I wouldn't want a little kid like searching for some of the stuff that's available on the internet.
Of course, yeah.
So here's what he said. As a parent of young kids, I believe rampant access to pornography is a real problem. We need to empower families to be able to moderate what our kids see and when.
Well, I mean, so what is he talking about here? Is he talking about passing a law, or is he talking about, maybe
being a parent?
Yeah,
good qualification there, Matt.
Sure, but I mean, when he says we need to empower families, and he is running for government office,
yeah,
I make that connection, and it sounds to me like he's being a nanny.
There ought to be a law.
Yeah, I agree, Jared.
Right?
I agree.
If he says like this or nonprofit I've started, seeks to help parents, regulate their kids' pornography use, then I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, he just wants to do this through, voluntary interactions or whatever.
Yeah, he's not trying to pass a law.
But when you're a presidential candidate and you're talking about what we need to do, that to me that means that we as the government.
So Jared,
absolutely.
Jared, would you give your kids a limit like 30 or 45 minutes of pornography per day?
How old are they?
I don't know. You tell me. I'm just curious.
Damn,
how would you do it, dude?
Damn, like that. It's about what I'm at right now.
What? 45 minutes a day?
Don't check who I follow on Twitter.
I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like excessive pornography use is just a symptom of other things.
Right. It's addiction almost, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like if your kid's not getting fulfilled in other ways, if he's not able to like have healthy relationships, then he's probably going to end up looking at way more porn than he should.
If you haven't seen him in 3 weeks.
I mean, of course, there's always going to be that time when that stuff starts coming around and fine, but like I think it's just a symptom of just bad parenting in general. So if you're a better parent, I don't think you should really have to worry about it that much. I mean, if you want to put blockers, it's fine if you want to put blockers on your your kids' browsers or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they want to get it, they're gonna find it.
Right. My cousin
got it at a friend's house.
I won't go there. I don't want to say this. Go on.
All right. I was gonna say I can't imagine being 15 today and having access to porn as easily as it is available through a quick Google search. Like, I mean, it used to be really hard. You used to have to find a magazine in a drawer, or like, there was like scrambled porn on TV, and you could like see a boob in the corner.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really, really difficult. And nowadays, I just feel like it's a search away. Just anything you want to see, Mexican donkey porn, boom, there you go.
Jesus,
I don't know, man.
Jesus.
Like, I remember when I was like 10 years old, right? There was like me and my buddy Gene, and there was this older kid in the neighborhood who was like 16 or 17, so he had a car, and he was like, "Hey, if you guys wash my car, I'll give you a couple Playboys." And that's how we got our first Playboy.
Wash the car?
Yeah, we had to wash his car,
Yeah.
and then we would get we got a couple Playboys out of it.
Nice.
So I mean, it wasn't like, granted, it's not as easy as yeah, like it's not as easy as getting on your computer nowadays.
You had to work for it,
dude.
Yeah. It was more rewarding.
Man, we had to work the coal mine for our first porno.
Dude, my brother was like around like 8 or 9. He found a chest up in my uncle's attic with my cousin.
And then, dude, I remember going over my another friend's house and then seeing he had like magazines about like she-males and shit. It's like, dude, where do you get this? What the fuck?
Okay, it wasn't.
I didn't even understand what that was at first.
Why would you have this?
I was like, are these men or these women? What is going on here?
Right.
I didn't know.
I
still don't really know.
Wow. Okay, we gotta show you, Kyle. Gotta show you I found out what tranny surprise was. I'm like, what the fuck is tranny surprise? Click on that. I'm like, oh, I was surprised. Go back, get back. But so back to my brother and my cousin. They were like 8 or 9. They found a whole chest of Playboys and stuff in my uncle's attic.
The mother load.
And so my brother was like, so my aunt finds my brother crying on the steps, and she's like, what's wrong? And he goes, I think I have AIDS. And he started crying because he thought like looking at porn would give him AIDS. Yeah. And so he's crying hysterically, thinking,
"No, you don't have AIDS. You're just going to hell now, right?"
So like my aunt's like, "What the fuck?" Oh man, it was so funny.
I have AIDS.
Oh
Jesus
man,
Christ.
that's hilarious. But okay, as a father, like you're gonna want to have to censor some things, and you don't want to censor too much. And I might have a story in the after hours to get to if anyone's interested about it. But I would think that you have to have a certain amount. You don't want to block and shelter your kids from too much, but at the same time, you don't want them having like 2 girls in 1 cup videos on their phones when they're like 10 years old. You don't want to have something like that. Or as you had
what do you do, Phil? Do you have like a search filter or something on the house computer? How do you
they have tablets, and you can set the tablets. We have very limited tablets, tablet time for the kids, like very limited, and it's usually just meant for like these educational games and stuff. Like,
so is it a full service tablet?
No, it's like a kid's Amazon.
So it's a special tablet designed for kids,
essentially. But you can have like an adult, like we have like our profiles on it, and then they can only access their own profile, which has like kids YouTube.
So you can switch it over to adult. You can switch. Yeah. So then you switch it over to adult mode at night, right?
And no, that's what I'm porn on your dude.
Start watching porn on your kids.
Jerk off on my kid's tablet. Daddy, why are my fingers stuck to my tablet?
That's horrible, dude. What the fuck?
Oh man,
that's a new low.
Yeah, I get lower.
Just this podcast is over.
On the next topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Speaking of jizz,
do you want to hit on that? We got a few minutes left. Do you want to hit on it?
We could touch on Kavanaugh. I like number 6.
Go to 6, dude. Go to 6.
Yeah, Warren is pulling ahead of Biden. I find that interesting. They're both progressive candidates, so they're splitting the progressive vote between them, and it's interesting to see which one of them will win that war and win the hearts of progressives. I think Warren's, to me, and this is hard to believe, but it seems crazier. She seems crazy to me. Bernie also seems crazy, but like I just think she out crazies him.
She's taking the Bernie vote away.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both of them could really use one of the other ones to drop out, and then they would be the standard bearer for the progressive against. Well, I guess Biden would be the establishment candidate, right? So you really. Like, is it going to come down to a 2-horse race for the Democratic nomination, the progressive versus the establishment? You know, I mean, you had you look at the last one, you had Bernie versus Clinton, and really it was a 2-horse race. All the people in the Democratic Party, and that was it. It was a 2-horse race. But I thought that election really showed you the ideological split in the Democratic Party between the progressives and the establishment.
The last Democratic primary for president, I think there were only, 4 candidates? There weren't that many. There's 25 right now?
Yeah, but I'm
so
saying
they
that
only had a few.
the last one, it was 4, but it was really just 2. It was really just Hillary and Bernie. Like, it came down to those 2.
Martin O'Malley was there.
Martin O'Malley was under 1%.
Right.
And they had
One
another
person show up for sandwiches to one of his rallies in Iowa.
Yes,
Yeah, they had another guy that I remember libertarians actually liking.
It wasn't Lincoln Chaffee or whatever.
I forget his name, but he actually did have a little bit of support among libertarians. They're like, hey, this guy's not that bad.
Oh, no, wait. He was the governor, or he was someone from Virginia. Brown, I think, was it?
I forget. I'll
He
look it
was
up.
pretty anti-war.
I'll look it
I
up.
don't
Yeah,
know.
it might have
Webb.
been.
Webb. Yeah,
Webb.
Jim Webb, right?
Yeah,
It was Jim
I
Webb.
think that's right. That sounds right.
That's it.
Good call.
But yeah, I mean, in the end, Webb and O'Malley were, both well under 1%, I think, and it really came down to those 2. So
I mean, no one stands a chance, man. It's going to come down to whoever the DNC wants to be in there, and they don't want Bernie. They've made that clear. He rules as an independent, but he won't. But he comes to be a president as a Democrat, and they hate that shit. The same thing with Ron Paul. That's why they hated Ron Paul.
Yeah.
I've said it before. That's my theory on it, and they can't stand that. And so they'll do anything it can. So they'll have this crazy bitch, Warren. She's crazy. She has a plan. That's all the media says. Oh, she has a plan for this, and they feed her questions. Oh, you have a plan for this, don't you? And they feed into her. Like, it's quite obvious. They want Warren now. I think Harris blew her load, and everyone knows she's really like a cop. And it's like now Beto O'Rourke, he's gone fucking crazy, but now that brought him back into the race. Did you guys notice that?
The gun thing?
He was almost completely out of the picture after he fucked up so bad in that first debate.
Relevance.
And now by being crazy,
He
he's
did.
like, fuck it, I'll be
Not-
crazy like
not by being
Cortez.
crazy, but by being radical. By taking
that's crazy
the most radical position of anybody on the stage, he made himself. This is my most anti-gun candidate, and if guns are my issue, I'm voting for that guy. If I'm an anti-gun guy, anti-gun Democrat, right? So it was actually pretty smart, I guess, on his part to
He's just shifting the Overton window. Really,
it is, but he a lot of people believe that. A lot of Democrats want to outlaw all guns. And for those that do, he's taking the most extreme position out of anybody in the field. So he takes that, I'm the anti-gun guy. If that's your issue, I'm your candidate. So he's got a built-in support base there, and it doesn't surprise me that actually boosted him in the polls.
He's done a lot for gun sales too. You look at the
Yes,
Beto special out there.
Yeah.
I heard
a lot of stores are running the Beto special where you get a really cheap AR,
Nice.
$399.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
I saw one that said Salesman of the Month, and they had a picture
Yeah.
of Beto.
a lot of gun shops are picking up on that.
Your meme guys are probably the ones that created that meme.
That's a good.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
good
we
meme.
have to give him credit. I got to hold on. Let me give 10 minutes to look for
Black
it.
and gold space AnCaps.
Yeah, whatever.
Well,
Idiots.
one thing on guns this week too was I believe Colt announced that they're going to stop producing the AR-15 for civilians. So if you don't know, Colt actually produced all the M4s for the military, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but as far as civilians go, I think there's like 3,000 makers of like AR-15s or something.
But think about
Colt
it. It's a
sucks.
smart move
Yeah,
for them.
I mean-
it's a smart move for them because now they can go from selling a few $100 rifle to civilian use as to then getting these contracts for these M4s for like thousands of dollars each.
Well, they've always been doing the M4s.
Yeah. So,
But I guess kind of the scary thing about it is it's because The scary thing about it for me is if Colt's doing this, are they doing this just because they don't want to be stuck with a bunch of like AR-15s because they think the government's going to ban them?
It might be a part of
maybe,
it.
Maybe they were given some sort of insider information, like the AR-15 is not going to be legal much longer. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe they were just kissing somebody's ass in the government so they could keep their contract.
It's good for
honestly.
optics.
No one's buying their product, so they got to put a fire sale on it.
Well, you know as well as I that there are a lot of flaggots out there, and they're going to want to get AR-15s that are made by the same company that the United States military gets it from when they're fighting for freedom, right? So you do get some people in that regard, and I think this is just kind of another thing that's going to make AR-15 sales skyrocket. I mean, not that they were already up, as you said, but I think this will probably just increase them more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's about it for this week. We're going to take it on over to the after hours. And we also have T-shirts over at libertariancountry.com. If you put in the code PRL or the code PRL podcast, you will receive a 10% discount. Until next time, live free
or die. Nice, Phil.
Perfect timing.
All right, what's this going to be?